HBCU First Look Spotlight podcast, hosted by Corey Murray.
Hi, I'm Corey Murray, Advisory Council Chair of the HBCU First Look Film Festival, and I'm here with the man of the hour, Roy Wood Jr., who has a new show out called Have I Got News for You that just premiered on CNN. Roy,
yes,
welcome.
Yes. I was going to wear some orange and green, but I'm glad that you got the memo to wear orange to honor Florida A&M to start the interview.
That's true, although I am a Hamptonian, a proud Hamptonian.
Okay.
So, but I think, that's not blue, that's black. Yeah. But that's all right.
How you been?
Pretty good, and you?
I'm good. I'm just blessed to be working. It's an election year, so to be able to have a show where we kind of, talking a little bit about the craziness in politics, I'm just happy to be out there.
Now, CNN is not known for comedy.
No.
And I understand that this show actually started on the BBC.
Yes.
So why this show now?
Well, I think that the creators of the show, Have I Got News for You, just so people understand the context of what the show is, it's a fake quiz show about the news of the week. So we just use the quiz show format to get into having a discussion. It's myself and 4 panelists, and we just talk about whatever the hell is going on in the world this week. So that show has been on for 35 years.
Wow.
In Britain. It's almost low-key their daily show in a way. Okay. In terms of this show is the source of information and opinions and laughter.
Yeah.
Which would kind of mean those are the 3 building blocks of good political comedy. So, you look at a network like CNN that was looking to do something different, and they put us on Saturday nights, which is the night where you can kind of get loose, be a little weird. You can do something that you couldn't do this show on a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. after a debate, because everybody's processing the news all serious. Saturday is perfect because you've had the entire week to scream, cry, yell, punch the wall, and it just seems like CNN as a network is truly open to giving Have I Got News for You its own space. The way I try to compare it is that this show, to me, anybody that went to public school will know what I'm talking about. You had your main school, and then you had that trailer that was next to the school.
Yes.
And the principal never came out there. Nobody really, you don't know what's happening there, mister. Are you in class? Are you playing games on your phone? So to me, that's what this show is.
Yeah.
We get to operate outside. We don't even tape in CNN Mothership down in Hudson Yards. We don't tape in Columbus Circle. We tape in a regular studio with a studio audience, which most other CNN shows do not do. So I think that helps to change the atmosphere of it a little bit. Now,
you mentioned a daily show where you cut your teeth as far as political correspondence. How much of that informs what the work that you do now?
It's all the same. Yeah. The only difference between the work we do on CNN and the work I did at The Daily Show is that at The Daily Show, there had to be a little bit more of a heart to every single thing that we were showing, because The Daily Show is a little bit more centered on the people who are affected by it, in comparison to our show where we just want jokes. Now, in between that, we're going to snipe people a little bit, because in the British version, they bring on sitting politicians who come on and just shoot the breeze about what's going on. But at the same time, I got to stick you. If you done passed a policy that ain't benefiting the people that's watching this show, I got to stick you.
Is that something you want to see with your show?
Absolutely. The biggest difference to me, though, between America and Britain, I think American politicians are a lot more nervous and more calculated about their TV appearances, where in England, it feels a little more like, oh, yeah, I'll come on the show. So what if you don't like me? It's fine. I win votes. I win every election. So I think that part of it is going to take time to earn the trust of American politicians. But I think once they see it and once they come on, then it'll be more evident that, this is a cool place to be.
And you earned some trust. You hosted the 2023 White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I believe one receipt is that you had the highest ratings in 6 years.
Yeah.
How was their reception after?
It was good for the most part. The Correspondents' Dinner is weird though, because
it's the nerd prom, right?
Yeah, it's nerd prom, and it's all the reporters and the journalists and the politicians and political analysts, and I do polls and I calculate dork. But after the Correspondents' Dinner, where you are talking with people from every walk of politics.
Yeah.
The thing that I found most shocking was just for all of the divisiveness that you see on television. I'm here to tell you, most of those folks that you think hate each other, they hanging out.
Yeah.
They drinking.
Yeah.
They partners.
Yeah.
And then they go on TV, split the world into two halves. And so, that part of it was a little hard to
see it up close.
Yeah, it's like you see, wow, really? You gonna drink with wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you found out Kendrick and Drake go golfing from time to time.
That would break my heart.
Yeah, it's like,
because I was like, dude, you was mad at him.
I bought your T-shirts. I went to your concert. Yes. So it's a little bit of that, but I think the biggest thing the correspondence dinner showed me is that humor matters, and humor has a way of helping people to see and understand a message. And because of that, even as a comedian, if you're not coming into a performance like the correspondence dinner with the intention of being different and changing the world, you have to know that somebody's going to take a clip of what you said and use it as a way to Trojan horse their own message right behind it. I don't know if this is a compliment or a bad thing, but for my correspondence dinner, I found that I tried to keep it balanced and take shots at everybody. But as a result of that, you had right-wing websites that were using my jokes to imply that it meant this. And then you had left-wing sites doing, like, how can I take this joke and twist it into our agenda that we're pushing?
Yeah.
That part of it you can't prevent, but it's something you just got to be aware of.
You got to be ready. So I want to thank you because I was able to go to the premiere taping of Have I Got News for You. I was in the audience.
You're welcome.
But what I took from it, I've known you for a long time, but at the end when you were doing the promos and you had to do a promo like for Australia and the European version, and I thought, oh my God, look at Roy Rowe Jr. all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. Was that a pinch me moment? I mean, I know you've had this show in the works for a while, but that first taping.
I'm just blessed. I mean, because also when you think about the TV and film industry right now, they are betting way slim on new products. And everybody go, oh, they don't want no remakes. They're tired of remakes. Well, that's what you're going to get, or you better have an idea that feels like it has elements of something that
all
the
these
industry
reboots,
considers a safe bet. I left The Daily Show in October of 23, and a lot of that was rooted in the idea that if I'm going to find a place to land after The Daily Show, because when Trevor left the show, it had me thinking, well, damn, when am I going to leave?
Yeah.
What is that going to look like? What should I do?
Yeah.
And so, well, sooner or later I'm going to have to leave, and sooner or later I'm going to have to find a new project.
Yeah.
I should leave right now.
Yeah.
I should leave right now and try and find something. If y'all want to host, cool, call me. But I need to leave right now because it's an election year. This is the optimum time.
Yeah.
This is not the type of, Have I Got News for You? It's not the type of comedy show that I think would be launched in this country in a non-election year. Yeah. It can sustain itself through elections and midterms or whatever. Yeah. But the time to start a new idea in television in America is now. Yeah. No. And there haven't been any other new late night shows since I left The Daily Show. So what does that tell you in regards to the shows I was trying to sell?
And when you talk about them going back and used to the same old thing, they brought back Jon Stewart.
Correct. And so and the ratings have reflected that works for them. But the idea of we're going to do something truly new and roll the dice, I have not seen proof of that yet since I left the show. And I think part of what makes CNN comfortable with this program is that it has a 35-year pedigree in another country. So even to get this on the air, and then keep in mind, I still had to audition. I didn't walk in and go, give me the job. So, you just work hard, you pray, and you hope that your talents and your patience and your optimism are enough to keep you afloat until you get to the next opportunity. So when you're sitting in a chair finally at a desk as the host, it's kind of surreal.
All right.
Because I've been everybody's guest.
And now you are the host.
Yeah, so it was...
the commander.
It was cool. My mom texted me, said I ain't brushed my hair enough. That's black mamas. That's what.
That's what we're gonna do. We have to see past everything. How you come off.
I see you smiling. Let me say something to you real quick. Shut you down.
So we know you are proud Alabama. How do you, Alabamian?
Yeah, Alabamian.
Yeah, Alabamian.
Yeah,
okay.
proud Alabamian.
And you doubled down on your Southern roots by going to Florida A&M.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision to go to an HBCU? And why that one?
It was really a no-brainer. My mama FAMU, my daddy Morehouse.
Oh,
My
okay.
auntie FAMU.
Mm-hmm.
I got another uncle that's Tennessee State. So you kind of raised in that culture already from the jump. And, you know, for perspective, my mother works at a black college. She has the last 35 years.
Okay.
30? No. My mom been in higher education 45, almost 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mama Woods.
You know, shout out to Miles College in Birmingham. So my mom has always been immersed in blackness and the black experience and the importance of education. And, you know, I think my parents have always felt like, knowing what I know now that I'm older, you're going to get into a world where you're going to be told that who you are doesn't matter. So let's overflow that cup now of self-worth. Yeah. Know yourself, know who you are, understand that there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who look like you going through the same thing. You're not alone. Yeah. And you go through that, then you go out into the world and do the mainstream thing. So, you know, not going to a black college was never an option in my house when I grew up. My mama put about 40 colleges on the fridge. She just picked from that list. Wow. I don't care where you go, pick from that list. And I figured on FAMU because, you know, my mom went there. My dad used to teach journalism there at some point in his career. So I figured they had connections. Yeah. But also Tallahassee is too far that you can't pop up on me. It's 5 hours. Birmingham to Tallahassee, that's a lonely drive. You got to drive through sundown towns in southern Alabama to get to Tallahassee. You ain't going to pop up on me. So it's just far away where I could do what I want, but close enough to where I had community. And, you know, to this day, you know, I'm thankful for that choice that I made to go to a black college.
I know you mentioned your dad taught at FAMU for a while, but he was also a newscaster, correct?
Correct.
So did he inform your decision to study broadcast journalism when you went to FAMU?
Not really. Here's what's funny. You know, my father, you know, pretty much everywhere he went in the 40s and the 50s, he was the first black hire for those radio stations. And so, you know, he went on to form the National Black Network, which was a syndicated network of radio. It was essentially black news, a black news segment and opinion segment that was syndicated out to radio stations across the country. Okay. My father co-founded that. So he's always been talking about black issues. My daddy wasn't fun. Because, you know,
he was no comedian.
Well, he just wasn't fun because everything he covered was serious. He was embedded in the riots in South Africa. He was embedded in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe now, during their civil war. My pops got shot at by snipers repeatedly in Vietnam, covering the experience of black troops. And then after you do all that, you come home and cover the civil rights movement, pretty much from civil rights movement up to LA riots. Yeah. My pops was in the streets with tape recorder. So you ingest enough of that pain. Yeah. Most of the stuff that you're talking about is from a very real place. Stuart Scott, however, on ESPN was fun. And I like to laugh. And so, yes, I came from journalism. I have 3 brothers that are also came up in TV news. But Stuart Scott was the one where I was like, okay, you can be fun and do this? Yeah. That was the first time I ever saw a black person on television that talked like me and was a little more loosey-goosey. And because every black journalist was very, Bernard Shaw, and I'm Ed Bradley. And there was a brother on CNN, SI, Fred Hickman, who I used to enjoy, but also very just...
They were, yeah. I remember astute. When Ed Bradley got the earring. That was...
And they were like, oh! And that was back when the earring meant you was gay, and we don't know what...
No, it was cool. It was sexy.
Conservative America doesn't like... So Stuart Scott was very loosey-goosey. And then I decide, well, what do I need to major in to do that job?
Yeah.
And they said journalism. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'm in. I guess I'll do the fun version of it. And so fast forward, that was 1996 when I started at FAM. Fast forward to when I started The Daily Show in 2015. I am essentially a funny version of my father.
Yeah.
I tackle the same issues he was talking about. All I did is add a punchline in between some of the bullet points. So it's just, you can't run from who you are.
Amen.
Destiny is destiny.
Amen.
Yeah.
Going back to your HBCU experience, I know you touched on it a little bit, but was there anything else about that experience that really has become a foundation for you and how you move in the world professionally and personally?
Take the question one more time.
Going back to your HBCU experience, is there anything about going to an HBCU, FAMU, that really informs who you are today?
I think the idea of community and always caring about others and always caring about who's coming up behind you. Part of why I am where I am, is that a sentence? Part of why I am, let me question my English. I ain't majoring in English. Part of how I got to where I am today. There we go. Yeah, just needed one more word on the end. Part of why I got to where I am today is because FAMUans came back to the school to give back and donate their time and donate their knowledge. I'm immensely grateful to Pam Oliver from Fox NFL, where she came and spoke at journalism colloquiums we had. And when you see someone that's a little further ahead and they're going, that's enough to keep you going.
Yeah.
And so, there's a tenacity that comes from being at a Black college, because there are days where it is difficult. Life is happening and you're still expected to learn and you're still expected
and excel.
So you don't necessarily get that. I don't feel like I would have gotten that at a PWI white school. The other thing that I feel like I got that I needed at the time as a 19-year-old, I got nurturing from the faculty and staff at Florida A&M University. It takes certain people to recognize when you need a hug. And make no bones about it, my first 2 years at FAMU, I was not a scholar. I was at the mall, I was at the club. This is how bad it was. My grades wasn't good enough to pledge.
Oof.
I was wilding.
What was that, a 2.5 minimum?
Yes, it was. Everybody said, hey, brother, you got to get your grade together. Come back next semester, young blood only. I went to every frat. What about you? Nope. Got to get your grade together, young brother. So to have people and professors that pull me to the side and go, hey, you're throwing something away. Stop it.
Yeah.
And, give me some straightening. And I got it together. And, by the time I got back in school, got ready to graduate, I was pretty much dean's list the rest of the way. Like my last 2 years, maybe last 2.5 years of school, last 2 years for sure. Also because I started doing stand-up during that time. So, everything was straight. I mean, I was at the mall, we shoplifting, we stealing. Like I lived a life in Tallahassee. And to be able to make those types of mistakes and have a village around me to help nurture me, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah. I did a big piece for Hollywood Reporter where I talked to a lot of HBCU grads who are in Hollywood, and that was a through line of a lot of them. Like the foundation, that community that you talk about, really felt that when a lot of people, when they did their undergrads at HBCUs, but then went to PWIs to get their master's or grad school, and the stark differences that were there, but they got that homegrownness, if you will, at HBCU.
Yeah, I definitely benefited from that immensely, and God willing, my son will go to one.
Yeah. So the theme for this year's festival is a celebration of Black cinema and activism.
Nice.
So entertainers and activists have always come together. I mean, I think about the civil rights movement, the March on Washington, when like images of Harry Belafonte being there, Diane Carroll. Why is that intersection so important to encourage people to get empowered?
I think that a lot of people respond to different stimuli. It's no different than back in the day in school. Certain teachers couldn't reach you, but other teachers could. And I think that there's definitely power in someone who, like, we love entertainers because they invoke a feeling in us, an endorphin, essentially. That person makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, you make me feel good, cool. Well, then I'll pay attention to whatever else you're talking about. You know, there was during the civil rights movement, when there were a lot of church bombings happening in and around Birmingham, you know, Jackie Robinson came down to speak. Willie Mays came through, and like these are people who normally, especially someone like Jackie Robinson, who had stayed away from politics and was revered by Black folks. Somebody like an entertainer like him, sports is entertainment to me. Someone like that showing up, that's powerful, and it also says something to white people who like that Black entertainer. So I think it's very, very essential. And I think by that same notion, we seek out film and television as a way to be entertained, to give us a feeling, be it good, bad, whatever. Well, when someone's emotional pores are open to receiving that stimuli, go and sneak a little message in there. If you can do it in a way where you feel like it can hit people and can be absorbed and retained, then do it. I know some people don't like being preached to, but there's also people that go, okay, I'm not gonna make, every film isn't gonna be junk food that's just for the sake of being entertained. I'm gonna try and say something with this. And I think the thing that's been really, really dope about watching the intersection of activism and entertainment over the years, like let's just say since George Floyd, you have shows that are explicitly like, hey, this is what it's about. We taking it on. Like, say there was a show called Woke that was on Hulu with Lamorne Morris.
Yeah, congratulations to him.
Black man who starts becoming self-aware about, you know, there's a Black dude that lived mainstream, starts becoming aware about everything that's going on. Then you have kind of that middle ground, the Oscar-winning short film, Two Distant Strangers, where it's about a Black man who dies every day at the hands of a cop, and every day he wakes up trying to figure out how not to get killed by the police. Then you got the 1619 Project,
which I love.
Wasn't no jokes in that one.
No.
Wasn't no sarcasm, and how are we going to say this in a way where people get it and effectively reach white view. 1619 is like, this is what you did. Look at what you did to us. So 20 years ago, none of those three projects would have been greenlit.
No.
None of those. No. I don't care if you're as light as a Hulu show with Lamorne or as serious as Nicole Hannah-Jones was. Before 1619, the only thing I think you had that was really hitting people straight in the mouth was Roots.
And I mean, that was what, 30 years, 40 years? Yeah,
and I don't count slavery movies. They're fine, they work, but that's like, most movies about slavery are rooted on a particular person or an act or a thing. It doesn't really speak to the system as a whole, bigger, you know, whatever. They are a form of activism, but in the sense of it having an explicit, clear message, I think it's very important. I think it's very dope, the filmmakers that take on that challenge, because if you've decided to infuse any type of nutrients into the content you create, you run the risk of turning somebody off. So now the digestibility of it comes into question. That's the thing that you really have to weigh, because especially if somebody else is giving you money to produce it. Ain't nobody gonna give you money without giving you their opinion. And some of their opinions you gotta take because you took their money. And so now it becomes an idea of how much credence to give to their critique of your critique of the system. And so that part of it can be very, very difficult to navigate. So that's hard to do with just a regular show. I get into it with networks every year on some bullet point in the sitcom. Well, does this character have to be Black? And what about this instead of this? And, I had a TV show that I saw. I'm not gonna say the network because I still want some money from them later. But we had a scene set during a protest, and the episode wasn't even about the protest. It's just there's a protest happening outside.
Yeah. They didn't want it.
Didn't even say what the protest was about. Didn't even say why the people was protesting. Just something.
It was just a backdrop.
It's a backdrop. And even that was too much for them.
Yeah.
And so anybody that is delving into the themes of what this year's festival is, they need to know that y'all are the Navy SEALs of filmmaking.
Yeah.
You see how I said Navy SEALs and not Secret Service. Secret Service be slacking a little bit.
Yeah, and I hear they got a podcast coming out. It seems one of them. Yeah,
the NSA.
Yes, like they need to stop.
So I think it's a very, very important intersection to exist at, because the people you reach are for sure the people that are going to take the baton from you when it's their turn.
Amen to that. Just two more questions. What are your thoughts about the importance of Black media to tell our stories?
Black media is important to tell our stories. I think that, even if you look at something as simple as the pending Sean Combs trial, Sean Puffy, whatever, Combs trial, the lack of Black print entertainment outlets that have enough reporters available to cover this type of stuff, who have been covering it for years and understand the history and the precedent that's happening, it's a huge blind spot, because now you're having our communities be covered and essentially having our stories told by people who are not of this community. Yeah. So you lose nuance, you lose context, you lose a sense of the totality of what's happening around certain issues. Yeah. And, Black media is the first to get cut from most of these places. For all of the hip parade after George Floyd, most of these DE&I divisions are getting shut down. They're getting shut down. So, Black media is essential. So anyone fighting to tell our stories is my ally.
Yeah. It pained me when Frankie Beverly died. And, Before I Let Go is like essential to our community, but there was like no big stories around this man's death.
Correct.
And even when James Earl Jones died, everyone just talked about his voice as Darth Vader, but I'm like, he did a ton of other things.
Yes.
His Broadway work, his work with August Wilson. So I know if more Black media existed, it would have,
But specifically Black media, though, you can be Black reporter at white outlet and you still gonna have to fight to get a paragraph added where you mention, and then James Earl Jones, he was in Roots too. And, he also did a bunch of this stuff too. So it's, you find yourself in newsrooms as a Black media creative, not even able to disseminate the idea and what you want and why it's important. And there's always going to be, blind spots, but you have to advocate. Yeah.
Okay. So I have something fun, a little quick fire.
Got some get out of rapid here. Fire. Okay.
Rapid fire. All right, I'm gonna use my phone for this. Who has the best homecoming?
Can I split that answer?
Sure.
Best homecoming in terms of atmosphere and camaraderie and celebratory nature of it all, FAMU.
Okay.
Best food outside the stadium is Grambling.
Ooh, I didn't expect you to say that, but I can see that.
That's some good ass food out there on that sidewalk.
Oh my God.
It ain't health inspected or nothing. It's just a dude in a truck frying fish in the car. You think he'd fry the fish in the back of the flatbed of the truck, but that's where his chair is.
And is he putting it in a styrofoam container? Okay.
Of course, with the white bread.
White bread. Of course. Whew, okay. Now, I know your answer on this because I was listening to a podcast where you were talking about this, but Drake or Kendrick?
See, this is one of those questions that, like, if I answer it now and then, like, 3 years, randomly 3 years from now, I just see Drake cruising by and then there's a dead owl on my front porch as a threat, like The Godfather. The answer is Kendrick, but continue.
Okay. New York or LA?
New York.
Grits.
Yes.
Salt or sugar?
Salt, cheese, butter.
That's where our friendship is going to end.
Why y'all eating this sweet ass hot cereal? That's oatmeal.
Because it's hot
You
cereal.
put sugar in oatmeal, not grits.
All right, last question. Where will you be on election day?
Under my bed. Shit. I'm sorry for cussing. You brought up politics.
Well, I thought maybe you were saying the booth. I'm going to be voting.
Yes, and then I'm going back under my bed. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Roy Wood Jr. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.